You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villian Report, and Red Zone Rank. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla Hour, Broseph Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and M-Maniacs. The nightly shows are Palace Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports, Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle Podcast, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, Off the Rails, and Detroit Lions News. Hope you like all the shows. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment.
Hey, my name is Ray Flores. I'm a proud and loyal member of the First and 10 Tailgate. You're listening to First and 10 with my man, the main man, Foz.
First and 10 with Foz, Chicago Bears in the mix. Rapping about football, no room for politics. From the Windy City, we bring the fire. This podcast hot, raising the bar higher. Touchdown after touchdown, we never settle for less. Breaking it down with Foz, we always bring our best. First and 10 with Foz, dance in the crowd, cheering loud and proud. Our spirits never bow. We rep that navy, blue and orange, no room for doubt. Chicago Bears legendary, no team can knock us out. No team can knock us out.
When I'm in Chicago, always a Foz.
Display. Hitting hard like a linebacker, making our way. Foz leading the charge, taking us to the top. Chicago Bears legacy, we can never stop.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 49, First and 10 with Foz. Proudly streaming on Chicago Bears Fan Forever on Facebook. Make sure you guys check out the page. Maxwell.
I'm here.
It's week 3, brother. It's week 3.
Feels like week 12.
Week 3. Week 12 is stress. Week 3 of actual play.
Yeah.
We'll get into it tonight, though. As always, you know how we do. Show brought to you by Bedrocks Bar and Grill, Craft Beer and Pizza in Shorewood and Romeoville.
Bedrocks Pizza, the place to be. Hard rock tunes and craft beers for thee. Crowd is roaring, the atmosphere's hot. We'll party hard, give it all we've got. This place is our sanctuary. Shout it out loud, let the music play. Bedrocks Pizza, we're here to stay. Good times and memories never before. Under the neon lights, we're all stars.
All right, guys. Home game coming up this weekend versus the Rams. Make sure everyone secures their wristbands for First and 10 tailgating. Make sure when you pay through the PayPal account, you are using friends and family. And there is a new email address that's changed from prior games. It is firstand101985@gmail.com. Flyers all over my page. Make sure you guys get your wristband. You know how we do it, First and 10. Always a good time. So, Maxwell, I was in Indianapolis this weekend, my friend.
God bless you, my
took
son.
a little trip with the crew, tailgating experience. Dude, what a awesome time. And Edgar Latorres, he's been doing it for 12 years with his family and friends. Grew to about 200 people every year now. 2 buses full of people. So it's the bus ride up there. Then we had like bowling and lunch at a bowling alley in Indiana. Then we headed over to our hotel, which we were at the Hilton Embassy Suites.
Oh,
dude.
nice.
So it was pretty swanky. It was a really nice hotel we stayed in. From there, we went to downtown Indianapolis to Chili Brewing. And former tight end who almost lost his leg, Zach Miller, came there.
I remember him.
Did a meet and greet, did a little like country music set, talked to everyone. He was a super down-to-earth guy. Dude, we partied the rest of the night, got up, tailgated, went to the game, and came home. And
scene, we came home. That was
and
it.
Came home. Everything besides the game was just phenomenal. Dude, I do want to give it hats off to Lucas Oil Stadium, dude. It is an awesome stadium.
I bet. It looks cool.
Really cool inside. They had the dome closed because it was raining.
How nice that is.
Yeah. I mean, our tickets, because we were in a group, they were all the way up there. And I'm like, being a Bears fan, I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to walk like 500 million miles, dude. Dude, escalators all the way up there. Escalators all
it's
the
actually
way
a
down.
2,000 stadium.
Yeah, do you believe that? So,
wow.
No, it was a good time. It was a great time. Saw my buddy Lucha Blue up there from the Colts, and they were pretty happy throughout that game.
I would imagine so.
Going into that game, the plague that's plagued us all season long and is still continuing to plague us is the injuries, man. And I think we're feeling a lot of these people being out of the lineup right now. Keenan Allen, especially. Corey Blasingame being in that backfield as an extra blocker for when our offensive line just lets everyone storm past them.
Yep.
At least he's one last line of defense we're missing out at this point. And then Tevin Jenkins is injured. Pickens, Amagaji, Billings, Davis, Adunze is still fighting something. Now Montez Sweat with his elbow, dude. Like, we just cannot catch a fucking break, dude. I'm telling you, it's just unbelievable.
That's the NFL. I mean, it's going to happen. Most of those guys at least did play. Yeah, the Keenan Allen one's a big one because for some reason, I don't know if we're going to get it or not.
Yeah,
Tyler Scott doesn't seem to be able to find the field, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's on a milk carton.
Yeah, no, we can definitely talk about that right now. I have no idea. There's nothing being talked about him. He's just been inactive. He's off the injury.
He wasn't. He was active this week. So I don't understand why he can't seem. I know he had a bad year last year, but
he was a big
seems like we could use a little help right now if Keenan's out and Velus Jones is inactive, and we got our punt returner trying to catch footballs when he hasn't really been a wide. He's great as a punt returner and kick returner, but he doesn't really seem to be an NFL wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're just choosing DeAndre Carter over him.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me with this. Whatever. Nothing really seems to make sense with the Bears right now.
But we can just tack it on to our Bears coaching decision. Yeah, not making a lot of sense to any of us.
That's exactly where I was going.
So, Bears lose on the road. The Colts 16-21 in what should have been a very easy winnable game.
Yes.
The stats and the score don't even begin to describe how bad a game that was to actually watch.
Oh, no, it was terrible.
Like, if you just go back and look at the score and you look at the stats, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad of a game. It was a close game. But when you actually saw the nuts and bolts and how everything went down, it was the fucking Benny Hill music show out there.
It was a close game because the Bears played down to the competition, and the Colts are a terrible football team. They are awful.
I love my Colts fans, and any true fan of a team will admit when your team is bad. And right now,
the
Colts are a bad
They're as
team.
poorly coached as the Bears.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a quarterback lobbing interceptions in the end zone.
Yeah.
They tried to give the Bears the game.
They were trying to lose that game so hard.
They gave the Bears so many chances. It was so frustrating. I texted somebody after the game like that's top 5 most frustrating Bears games I've watched. Like in recent memory. I know I'm being facetious there, but like that was really frustrating, man. I know we should relax last week, but that gave me a 180 real quick. I was nauseous.
It's getting hard not to relax. And again, like last week, I was getting frustrated with everyone getting frustrated so easily. And this week, I got frustrated too.
Yeah, I went against my own advice.
Yeah. It's because we came into the season with such high expectations. Like, I think some people are thinking like we were going to walk out and be Kansas City, which we're not going to be. But I expected us to be more of a
competent,
put together football team who doesn't go 3 and out and actually puts together plays and first downs and time
a functioning NFL offense. The losses never bother me because the NFL is such a week-to-week sport. You know what I mean? Like, if we had lost this game 28-27 and everything looked great, okay, we should have won, but you know what I'm saying? It's how we lost it to this fucking team that like it just. I mean, I was going to play. I was going to say totally sober Sunday. Just watch it and enjoy a football game. Like Bears are going to look good. This is going to be the week it's going to bust out. First quarter, I'm already drunk. I mean, it was God.
Yeah. And like me and Maxwell talk about it all the time. This is the third season of us doing this show.
Yeah.
Now, and
I'm sick of this show.
Yeah.
Not hanging out with you. I'm sick of this exact the things we talk about.
I know it gets frustrating coming on here week after week. And we're really hoping to come in this season and have a lot of positive things to be talking about.
And there's still time, no doubt.
Bears. I mean, it's only week 3.
I know there's still time. I know
this is not the start we were looking for.
No, if this was like week 12 against, obviously now the Vikings all of a sudden, then like, okay, you can be a little more, you had the good first couple weeks. You got a tough second half schedule. It's like this should have been all roses here from.
We should be 2-1 right now without a doubt.
Yeah,
this should have been a momentum game, an offensive building game, like I called last week. This defense is terrible.
Terrible.
Their biggest defensive lineman was out. And we'll get into what the game plan was for this game, which I don't totally understand. But
I don't either.
Complaints about Bears fans, though, man. I mean, week 1, we won that game.
Mm-hmm.
And even after the win, the number one complaint were the stats of Caleb Williams and everyone on the team.
Sure.
So then we lose versus the Texans, in which it was a close game, still bad stats again.
Mm-hmm.
And we go in this game, we actually, on paper, Caleb Williams has the most yards thrown by any quarterback out of any game so far, going into week 4 now.
Mm-hmm.
2 touchdowns, really nice 41-yard pass to Roma Dunze.
Mm-hmm.
And Roma Dunze had over 100 and some yards, 6 receptions. So,
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think everything else is just blinding us from those minimal positives that we're still just frustrated. And dude, that all just comes down to the fucking offensive line, dude.
A lot of it.
Offensive line.
A lot of it.
It's absolutely horrible, dude. And we've been talking about it since the fucking Jay Cutler era, dude. Like, how have you gone 20-something years right now and not have been able to fix your offensive line?
It goes all the way back to Owen Krutz, Roberto Garza. Yeah.
Look at this.
Well, what was that play, first of all?
Yeah. First of all, it was a horrible fucking play call by Shane Waldron.
That might have been fine on a 2-point conversion, but like.
But what did they do? Did they light a stick of dynamite and everyone just fucking exploded?
Swallowed in like quicksand, like immediately. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the play call. Like Roschon actually did seem to be having some success during the game. Like, dude, a 4th and 1 from the 1-yard line seems perfect for your bruiser running back to bruise his way into the fucking end zone. Like,
it was like that Seattle Super Bowl. You have Marshawn Lynch back there and you're throwing the fucking ball. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like this is the old offensive coordinator smarter than the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, like, we're not that great to where you can just start trying to play trick plays.
Do the simple thing. And when you master the simple thing, then start pulling out your big book of concepts.
Dude, and that's the funny part, because I watch all the press conferences, especially with Eberflus and basics. We got to get back to basics and fundamentals.
Yeah.
Well, you got to coach basics and fundamentals, motherfucker, because you're not, dude.
Or call them.
You're not calling these plays.
Let's have Shane Waldron call some of these basics and these basic concepts.
Oh, dude, just so unbelievable.
Yeah, he's too cutesy with the calls. Of course, we don't know what the calls are, but like watching it with the naked eye as a fan that's been watching forever, he's too cutesy. His play calls, we're ready. This is a lot of Luke Getsy stuff again. Matt Nagy, we're like, my concepts are, you're going to learn my concepts, not I'm going to adjust to how good you are. Yeah. We seem to be going down that path again.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. We're very back to last year's.
Last several years. Yeah.
I've been listening to the score all week. And of course, listening to the score is always a good time.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that I love the most, and I forgot who said it, but one of the guys on the score all the time, he's like, you want to know what? One thing that I was told a long time ago, and it sticks with me today, is that a bad offensive line will create a bad offensive coordinator.
That's true. True.
Because, dude, like, okay, we're pissed off about the play calls. Take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he calling these play calls? It has to do with faith in what you have to work with.
I understand.
Because you don't believe that you could call that play that we all think you should and execute it because the guys on the field are that bad. So we have to try and play this game because you can't do basics. I mean, I think that's a part of the Shane Waldron play calling too that's frustrating us, is that he can't call standard plays that a true put together efficient NFL team could execute.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that, again, plays into it that we're getting frustrated with him. But, again, obviously, he's not trusting these jumble heads out there to get it taken care of.
Don't disagree. I totally agree with absolutely everything you said.
I'm not backing the guy whatsoever. His
No,
play calling was very frustrating.
And I mean, this is the best the offensive line has looked this season. I mean, because you played such a terrible opponent. So, Caleb did have time in the pocket at times. There was just a lot of screens again, a lot of these runs from the shotgun.
Yeah.
If DeAndre Swift isn't the guy and he's not working, put Roschon Johnson in. Yeah. Let him just run up the middle and pound somebody then.
Why are we running from the shotgun?
Constantly.
We can't run from the line itself.
Yeah, constant running from the shotgun. Like that's what's leading to constant 2nd and 8s or 3rd and 7s. It's like that. Then you got to pass. Then Caleb's got to throw the ball 54 fucking times. So it's just all around. Really, it was so frustrating. Just so frustrating,
dude. After I calmed down after watching the game, I think the first thing that came to my mind were just nonstop missed opportunities that the Colts kept on giving us, dude. Mm-hmm. We had the interception by Edmonds in the end zone. We had the one by Johnson right at the beginning of the half to get the ball back.
Yeah.
And, dude, we're not scoring on any of these turnovers.
No, 3 points, I think.
That our defense is giving us.
Yeah.
But yet, every single one of our turnovers, the interceptions and the fumble, they scored and capitalized on all those.
Yep.
And that's why they won. You have to capitalize on those defensive turnovers.
You got to at least get 3 points. You got to give me 3 points.
At the minimum.
Give me 3 points. And let's get a concrete shoe on Cairo Santos, too. For some reason, he can't kick a ball over 50 yards. And I love him. And he's led to a lot of points for us.
Yeah.
That's a little worrying, too, sometimes when we need that 55-yard field goal and we don't have a kicker that can do it. I'm not bashing him. He's not the reason we lost the game. But that's a little nerve-wracking sometimes, too, and pissy off you.
Dude, the Bears ran that game. Time of possession, they were on the field for 35 minutes.
80-something plays. Yeah. It was ridiculous. They were never not on the field, and they were not scoring points. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Dude, they had 26 first downs.
Yeah.
26
I mean, that alone should lead to, 6 points or an extra 7 points or something. Yeah. It doesn't – when you start reading the numbers, it's like when the dude's going downstairs in the hangover and the numbers just floating everywhere. You can't understand what any of it means.
Dude, only 9. They had fucking 30 third down attempts. No, I'm sorry. They had 21 third down attempts and only converted 9. Dude.
Yeah, they seem to be better on 4th down. So maybe we should just start running it on 4th down no matter what.
Dude, exactly. You cannot operate an offense with those third down conversion rates. Dude.
And you can't operate an offense where everything's 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8. They've got to find ways to get small chunks of yards easier is the easiest way I can put it.
Yeah, the 3 turnovers definitely killed us. The 2 interceptions by Caleb and then the 1 fumble.
2 of those 3 were not on him, really. The fumble was definitely not on him. That's on your offensive line completely collapsing. Sure. The first interception was definitely on him. That was a terrible pass. The second one was kind of I know Eberflus talked about it. He kind of ripped Caleb after the game for that, but that sure looked like a jump ball that Rome should have caught on that.
Dude, again, even with that DJ Moore interception in the previous game, dude, those are contested catches. He's throwing that up for you to fight for.
Yeah.
He's not throwing it up for you to just watch it go to the other player. You're supposed it's a contested catch.
Yeah. And I get Rome's young and he's going to learn that too, no doubt. Yeah. And that corner is pretty good at Indianapolis if there's one good player on the defense.
The funny thing is that 41-yard pass, they were talking about that. He saw that the corner was watching Rome the entire time, not watching him.
Yeah.
So that's why I threw it up, because Rome is going to be able to get ahead of it and they don't know it's coming.
Yeah.
So, but again, dude, you need to be able to, when those balls are thrown up like that, you have to fight for it.
Yeah.
Those corners sure the fuck are going after it.
100%. I mean, because how important turnovers are to the game. So, yeah, I mean, we saw some progress with Caleb, I thought. He made some really nice – I thought especially towards the end of the game. He seemed to flow a lot nicer.
The loss and the frustration has, like I said, overwhelmed the good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's overshadowed the good.
100%, as it should, because that was terrible.
Yeah, we gave another game away, dude. Just like the Texas game, though, we were in it the entire time, all the way till the end. We had the opportunities. Bad timeout calls, man. Bad coaching calls.
Again, Matt Eberflus' clock management, he seems to just not value timeouts, which makes no sense to me since you don't have a team that can go out and score 35 points.
Sure.
Every game you play this year is probably going to be decided towards the end of the game, 1-score game. Mm-hmm. They're invaluable. Look at the very end of this game. For some reason, they didn't kick it all the way out of the end zone, but they got a gift from Indianapolis who downed it before the 2-minute warning to give them an extra timeout. So then they had 2. If you had an extra 1, 3, you go there, stop, quick 3 and out. You might get the ball back and at least have a shot to get back down there. The timeout to not know to go for 2 is unforgivable. Yeah. It's not excusable. Yeah. No excuse. Anybody who's ever played Madden or watched one football game, go for 2 there. What's the difference if you're down by 4 or 5? It doesn't matter.
What's the golden rule? You take the points on the road.
Yes.
And when you don't take the points on the road and you fuck up, it always comes back. And
absolutely. Look at this game. A one possession game again. And an extra timeout really screwed you.
Dude, that golden rule is why Detroit was not in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Year.
Yes.
When you're on the road and you're in scoring position, you take the points on the road.
Yeah. But, you're down, okay, we're down. What was it? We were down 4.
Yeah.
No, we were down 5. So we go for the 2 and make it. We're only down 3.
Mm-hmm.
We miss it. Okay, fine. It doesn't matter. It's 4 or 5. That why you didn't have, because that drive was like 80 yards for like 8 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Why didn't you have someone telling you, hey, if we get in here, we're going to go for 2 because then we'll only be down by 3 if we make it. What? Why are we calling timeouts to decide about extra points?
Yeah,
that's unacceptable. Completely.
Not because you're discombobulated communication.
If this was maybe his 3rd head coaching game ever, I'd give you a pass. Yeah. This is his 3rd season as a head coach in the NFL.
In the press conference, he kind of put the blame on Waldron about the communication from.
He's the head coach. He's the head coach.
I agree with
Fuck him.
Yeah.
That is on him squarely.
Yeah.
He makes the decisions on what we're going to do for what points we're going to go for. He is the head coach. Waldron can do whatever he wants to do. Yeah. They literally have a coach that tells him, should tell him on the sideline. Another guy who his only job is to be clock management.
Yeah.
Should be telling him, don't call a timeout here. Don't challenge it here. Go for 2 here. I don't know. I don't get it.
Like you were talking about before we went live, Ryan Poles' reaction to a lot of these calls.
I've heard that on Twitter. Yeah.
And I don't blame him, man. I mean, what did we say between the offseason? If the Bears come out and are not successful with Caleb Williams and Justin Fields goes to the Steelers and is successful, dude, that's fucking job costing decisions that you made through the organization. I mean,
100%.
Not to say that I think Justin Fields is a long-term solution for the Steelers whatsoever.
But look good so far.
But again, look at where we started now, 3 games in, and they're 3-0 with him, dude. And trust me, people are paying attention to that.
100%. They also have to at least look at it a little bit closer because that might be the best defense in football, and they're doing a lot of running. That is a high school offense almost there.
Speaking of a lot of running, we didn't do a lot of running this week. So the Colts come off playing Green Bay, allowing 250 yards to Josh Jacobs, and then the defense only allows 10 points to the Colts. So we come into this game and we give up 21 points to the Colts when Green Bay gave up 10. And then we pass the ball 52 times to Caleb Williams and only run the ball 28 times total between Roschon Johnson and Swift, which Roschon Johnson finishes our high running back number yards.
He seemed to be looking okay.
He didn't even have half the attempts that DeAndre Swift had either, dude. Like,
I'm a little concerned about DeAndre Swift. I know the offensive line problem, but he still is a professional running back, and at some point there has to be some kind of hole. But I don't know if it is that he's not a bruiser running back, and so he's looking for.
How many injuries does he come off of?
I think a few, hasn't he?
Yes, I mean, you see him with those offensive line coming at you with no blockers. He's like, F that, dude. Like, where you have like Roschon Johnson, who is a powerhouse,
he's looking for,
and he's going to run into you and try to knock your ass over. And with our offensive line sucking the way it sucks right now, we need that power running back to blast through these guys because they're not being protected.
Especially on short yardage situations. That's exactly what you have a guy like that for, who couldn't find the field for some reason in week 1 and was hardly out there week 2. If that, and I get it, there's a lot going on in an NFL game where it's easy for us to sit and point. I totally get that. But if you just look at your numbers and see DeAndre Swift's had 12 carries for 13 yards and Roschon Johnson's had 6 carries for 20 yards, and he seems to be averaging about 3 to 4 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go with him for a little while and see if maybe that'll work.
Yeah. Why don't we go with, I don't know, with what's working?
Yeah. It's that simple to me.
What's the old saying? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And there's a lot of that going around right now.
There's a lot of that going on. You keep on doing the same things over and over, and it's not working.
With the same press conferences after the game where he doesn't seem to realize, like,
he's back to his, like, oh, this was positive and this was positive.
Yeah,
and dude, in the preseason, he was talking like big dick out, like boom.
Yeah.
And now after these 2 losses we've had, now he's back to I think this looked good and we gotta do this, but this was good and they did good here. Like
the simple.
We don't need Mr. Rogers right now. Dude.
No, like that.
We need Dick. We need Dan Campbell's ass, dude. We need someone.
How about just somebody knows what the hell he's doing?
Yeah.
Especially like they asked him about that 4th down play that blew up and lost 12 yards and didn't score. He's like, oh no, we like that play and it was positive. Like, how about just say it was a bad call and let's move on? We fucked up. Like, we'll learn from it. We'll move on. Like,
Own your shit.
Trying to be Mr. Positive when you just lost a game on the road to a bad football team. I don't know.
Yeah, dude, very frustrating. Should have won that game. Very surprised the way that went down. I mean, it was 0-0 going in like halfway through the second quarter. Like
it set football back 10 years, like that first half. I mean, it was bad because Richardson has a hell of an arm, but that's all he's got. He's got nothing else. And I know he's got some speed, but defensively, I know you brought that up too. They were looking a little leaky, no doubt. I'm not, and like,
but here's the thing, dude. Like our defense being leaky. Okay, when they're on the field the entire game, sure, I get.
Oh, that. I'm with you.
You're tired. You're being ran down. The offense is going 3 and out. But dude, with the time of possession that the offense had on the field, dude, the defense had plenty of time to rest and be geared out to go out there and do their job. And
I agree.
Right now, dude, as we're ramping up our offense and figuring that out, dude, it's more on the defense's shoulder right now.
I'm with you.
And you got to accept that. You got to own that. You got to realize that you have to go out there and make plays right now until we figure out our offensive problem.
Don't disagree with you. I agree with everything you're saying. We probably let up one too many touchdowns against them. Still, an NFL team holds a team to 21 points in the modern day NFL. Sure. Should be enough to win. Should have been a final way to win. Yeah, we probably gave up one too many touchdowns than we should have. But I'm not going to I agree with everything you said 100%.
I didn't look up the stat I meant to, but I wanted to know the last time the Bears gave up 150 yards running to a running back.
I bet it's been a while.
It's been like probably the beginning of last season.
Yeah, or maybe even the season before.
Before Montez Sweat, for sure, dude.
I would guess that because I do recall the rush defense being horrible at the start of last season.
So,
all right, good night, everybody.
Have a good night. All right, so the Bears fall to 1-2, currently last place in the NFC North to the fucking Miracle Vikings, who are 3-0.
I told you, don't. That team finds ways.
Your fault because you said
they've got a hell of a head coach. There's no doubt about it.
Vikings are 3-0, and then the Packers, Detroit 2-1, and we are 1-3. And this is not the 1-2. This is not the division to fall behind him because
it sure don't look like
we are the strongest division so far looking in the entire NFL. Dude.
Yeah, when Matt LaFleur is coaching 2 wins in a row without a quarterback, period.
Dude, the Colts division with the Texans, 3 teams are 0-3.
Yeah.
And the Colts are in second place now with 1-2.
Yeah, and the Texans
are 2-1.
They look like crap against the Vikings. Somebody raised a good question.
Why can't we be in that division?
And said, like, who has the worst coaching staff in the NFC North? How could you say it's anything but the Bears? Yeah. Like Matt LaFleur has done a hell of a job losing his franchise quarterback, and he's got them playing great. Kevin O'Connell, my God, Sam Darnold's one of the best quarterbacks in football statistically right now. That's insane. That statement's insane. I should be taken out of here in a straitjacket. Detroit's going to be good. We know that.
How anyone can say anymore that like you're a football specialist or you're an analyst or you call stuff and you get stuff because. Dude, you can't. Dude.
No, of course
everything is so unpredictable, dude.
Especially this year so far.
I mean, San Francisco's 1-2, dude. I mean, what is?
How about 0-3 Cincinnati with the defense looked like the worst ever?
Yeah,
Jaden Daniels out there looking like Michael Vick last night. He was unbelievable.
What's going on? Who predicted that? No fucking professional.
Not a person.
Sportscaster.
Not a person.
Crazy, man. Crazy. Speaking of that, the Bears are heading back home to face the 1-2 Rams this week, which we'll get into that game on Sunday. But speaking of the unpredictable and the crazy, everyone out there, we all play fantasy football. I think everyone I know but you plays fantasy football.
Good call,
Maxwell. So I was reached out to by an author of the book, The History of Fantasy of Sports. His name's Larry Schechter, and he spent the last 18 months researching the history of fantasy sports, how they came to be and how they became such a huge part of society today. Ended up looking through his book and reading into it and found it very interesting. I know so many of us out there are fantasy football players, and there's actually some ties into the Bears he was telling me too. So I think it'll be pretty interesting. Everyone, welcome to the show, author Larry Schechter. Larry, good evening, sir. How are you?
How you doing?
Good. Nice to meet you guys.
You too,
sir. Welcome to the show, my friend. So
I made the big time. I'm on the Bears.
There you go, man. There you go.
I don't know. After that week, you might want to reconsider.
So, Larry, why don't we get into it straight away? So, you're an author, my friend. Why don't we get into the background of how you got into writing?
Well, I'm not real. I don't consider myself an author. I'm a fantasy sports player, but I'm regarded as one of the better fantasy baseball players. And 2014, I wrote a book about fantasy baseball strategy. And since then, I sometimes ask myself if there was another book I thought I might want to write someday. And the only idea I ever had that was any good was about the history of fantasy sports. Because I look around and, some people had some ideas for games years ago. And it started out kind of like, nobody knew about fantasy sports. And it's grown into this monster where you got like, millions and millions of people playing fantasy sports all over the world. You got everything from fantasy football, fantasy baseball to fantasy cricket, fantasy Iditarod, fantasy wakeboarding, and
anything you can gamble money
now
on.
Fantasy cricket, I might be intrigued by.
Anything you can keep track of statistics, you can make a fantasy game out of it. And it's like a $25 billion industry. You got, Sirius XM radio channel, you got news services, stat services. I mean, it's crazy. So I thought, there's nobody has ever written a book like this. Like, how did this happen? So I decided to write the book. It's like there's never been anything like this. And what happened is I started with the idea I'm going to write a book, the history of fantasy sports. How did it happen? Who did what, when, etc. But when I started to research, I learned things that were fascinating, like one fascinating thing after another. And I realized, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell the stories of the people involved. So the book started out the history of fantasy sports, and the subtitle is, and the stories of the people who made it happen. Because, by telling the stories of the people, that's what has made the book fascinating. And, I'm not saying that like to brag or something. I'm just saying this is what the reviews say, that the reviews are incredible. Amazon's got a 4.8 rating.
Yeah, man. I looked everything up, man. I can't wait to get into it, brother. I can't wait to get into it. So, what was the first sport that was fantasy? Was it football?
It's baseball, wasn't it?
Well, the first known was the first real known was fantasy golf.
Okay.
But it's the guy Bill Winkenbach who's credited with starting fantasy football in 1963. Before that, he actually had a fantasy golf game, but it was just him playing with a few friends. It wasn't any big thing, but that was probably the first. But there were a lot of precursors. A lot of people were playing various games, with a few friends that never amounted to much of anything.
Yeah. So I don't want you to give away like again your entire book. I'm going to urge everyone to read it. I'm definitely going to read it. I'm super interested in the subject. But as far as it leads towards like fantasy football, and you said there was like a bear story involved, things of that nature. Do you kind of want to give us like a quick, like maybe cliff notes of how that began or how that kind of grew into the momentous giant it is today?
Yeah. Well, like, I'll give you an example. Like, the book covers everything like precursors to fantasy sports. You had tabletop games, you had Stratomatic, APA, Tatico, Ellis, All-Star Baseball, and then it gets into the origins of fantasy football, the origins of fantasy baseball, how they spread, first commercial games, newspaper games, radio and TV, newspaper, the first fantasy publications, magazines, books. I cover everything right through experts leagues, high stakes leagues, daily fantasy sports, all the legal issues that have been faced. So it covers like the entire thing from the precursors to where we are today. We'll give you one example. One of the first fantasy football websites was run by a guy named Jim Serra, one of the first statistic services. And Jim, I'll give you a couple stories about Jim. First of all, he'd have to monitor his website to make sure everything was working properly. And, sometimes something would go wrong. He'd have to fix it quickly. And so one day he's watching a Major League Baseball game while he's monitoring his website. And he knew that one of the Major League Baseball players, who actually was an all-star pitcher, was in a fantasy football league that was, used his commissioner service. So he's watching the game. He's watching this guy pitch in the baseball game, and he's monitoring his website. About the seventh inning, the guy gets taken out of the game, heads to the locker room, and within like a minute, before this guy would have even had time to get in the shower, Sarah notices he makes a move on his fantasy football team.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's like, F that game. He's like, what's going on in my fantasy league, right? I do it all the time, man. I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's awesome.
And another thing that Sarah said, one time there were two players in a football game with the same name, and it caused the stat service to screw up. And what happened is, for like 45 minutes, the live stat service stopped because two players with the same name caused it to just stop. And he started to get emails from customers, and I'm gonna pull this up and read you this. He says there's a 45-minute delay in the live scoring being updated. Emails started coming from dozens and dozens of his clients. They started with, just to let you know, the stats haven't updated in a few minutes. Then they started getting angry. The stats haven't updated. What's wrong with you people? Eventually, they escalated from, I want a partial refund, to I want a full refund, to I'm going to sue you. After 30 minutes, it was, I'm going to start a class action lawsuit. Then I think you should fire everybody. I hope you get cancer. I hope all your family gets cancer.
Oh my God.
So he got over 1,000 angry emails.
Holy
and
crap.
He's telling people like I have no control over the stat service, but they didn't care. And this is where like the stress really got to Sarah at this point. And like after this incident, he decided to sell the company.
I mean, you're dealing with degenerate gamblers here, Lester Diamonds of the world, sir.
Yeah. So the thing is, so I had interviewed Sarah. I interviewed dozens and dozens of people. So I interviewed Sarah, and I get this story. And then later on, I was talking to I think it was Steve Cohen of Sirius XM Radio, or John Hansen, who John Hansen, big on Sirius XM Radio.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who it was, but one of them tells me a story about one of their first, one of the first NFL. Excuse me. I think it was like one of the very first times they got an NFL player on a fantasy radio show. They booked Adrian Peterson. They start talking to him, and they realized before very long they booked the wrong Adrian Peterson.
The Bears.
The Bears, Adrian Peterson.
They had the Bears backup running back who was already retired.
A hell of a special team player.
He's more than happy to do that interview.
Right.
He's got nothing going.
So the thing is, I was like a detective through 18 months of research and trying to figure out things and trying to find like what happened and the truth of things as I get conflicting stories and whatnot. But when I hear this story from John Hansen or Steve Cohen, whoever was telling me about this Adrian Peterson mix-up, a light bulb goes off in my head. And I emailed Jim Sarah, who I had talked to like 3 months earlier. I say, Jim, those two players with the same name in the game, by any chance, was that Adrian Peterson? He's like, yeah, that's it. It was Adrian Peterson. It was the Bears and the Vikings. You had Adrian Peterson of the Vikings and Adrian Peterson of the Bears. They were both running backs, and the stats, couldn't handle that.
That's so funny.
I vaguely remember that story.
Yeah, that's so hilarious.
So I haven't told this story on an interview yet, but being on the Bears podcast, I got to do it. It's like I wrote a book about the history of fantasy sports. 300 pages about the history of fantasy sports with all the people, the pioneers involved, and frickin' Adrian Peterson of the Bears is mentioned twice.
Yeah, he should be autographing you and sending you a copy for that.
Right? I would have loved to be on that interview where Adrian Peterson from the Bears showed up. They're like, hey, how's it going?
Oh, man, I vaguely remember that from being on the score. I don't. Oh, that's awesome. Larry, I am an absolute. Mike eloquently put it. I'm the only person on earth that doesn't play fantasy, but I did try one time, and it was fantasy baseball. I am an absolute baseball nut.
Yes.
And I heard you say that you are Mr. Fantasy Baseball. How do you keep yourself interested without wanting to jump out a window to do baseball? Because it is so long, and I get so ADD with it that I couldn't do it for a whole year.
Yeah, I've been invited to play fantasy baseball before, and I looked into it. I'm like, no, I can't do this. I can't handle this.
It is long,
Yeah.
It is long. The last couple of years, my teams have sucked. I've been out of it early, so I haven't even had to deal with it being so long.
You couldn't draft. I guess you couldn't draft Shohei Ohtani.
I wish I had.
Yeah.
This year, Ohtani, during part of the draft season was when the gambling scandal happened, and people were afraid, like, is Ohtani going to be implicated? Is he going to be suspended? So his draft position kind of went down for a while there. Where some people he was a risk at that time. Like he could.
Sure, no, I understand. Yeah.
Some people passed on him, and he went at what would be a bargain if he wasn't suspended. And then look at this, he wasn't suspended, had one of the best years ever, 50-50.
Yeah, his war is out of control. Whoever he fell to, God bless them.
One of the guys in my book, Rich Pike, who started what later became Roto World, his dad plays fantasy. His dad was involved a little bit when they started Roto World. His dad is now, or at the time I wrote the book, his dad was something like 92 years old, and he's a huge Shohei Ohtani fan. And he lives in New York. He stays up, till 2 a.m. watching Ohtani play on the West Coast.
Got 50 awesome. Home runs, 50 stolen
53.
base.
Yeah. First 50-50 in the history of baseball. That blows my mind too.
Not to say anyone should be paid that amount of money he got paid,
yes,
but if anyone should and deliver, he delivered.
Yeah, 100%.
So, Larry, you were telling me that there is some ties to Dick Butkus in this whole fantasy story. You want to elaborate on the whole Dick Butkus situation?
Yeah, not really a tie, not like the Adrian Peterson, but let me look this up for you. It's just a little mention. It was one of the first fantasy. There's a fantasy sports trade association that I talk about in the book, and one of their first meetings, Greg Ambrosius, who ran a magazine, had a Sports Fest card show in Chicago one summer. And they had a fantasy pavilion area, and they had the second board meeting for the Fantasy Sports Trade Association, and they also had this Sports Fest card show, because he ran a fantasy sports magazine. He also ran a baseball card magazine, and so let's see, they had 30 booths of vendors, and Dick Butkus was there working for one of the card companies. And they let him draft for a few rounds of their live Experts League draft.
Huh?
That's the Butkus story.
Pretty good scout, Dick Butkus.
Yeah, I would trust Dick Butkus for sure, my friend, for sure. So, Larry, being such an advocate fantasy player like you are, you play baseball. Do you play fantasy football whatsoever?
I do, yeah. I'm known as being good in fantasy baseball, but I'm just as good in fantasy football. I'm known. Yeah.
So to us bums out there playing fantasy, what would be some pointers as far as like what you're looking for draft wise and kind of your strategy? You don't got to give it away, obviously, but you have kind of obviously a system going to where you're so successful.
Well, I actually gave away my fantasy baseball strategy in my first book. It's called Winning Fantasy Baseball. And a lot of that strategy applies to football as well, and other fantasy sports.
Do tell, Larry. Do tell.
No, got to read the book.
That's it. Buy his book if you guys want to know.
No, I'm intrigued now about the baseball one.
I mean, if somebody's interested in fantasy baseball strategy, they can read the book. But as far as my current book, The History of Fantasy Sports, I'll tell you, everybody who plays fantasy should read the book. You're going to love it. Even people who don't play fantasy have read the book and loved it, because it's not, just about fantasy sports. It's about the stories of the people and what they did.
Oh, you sold me. No. I love reading the history of stuff like that. So even being not a fantasy guy,
I play fantasy every year. I have for like 15 years now. Yeah, like how it became such an at-home in magazines, like you were talking about, to become as monumental and as part of society as it is today. Like. Definitely interested in reading in that, Larry. Well, Larry, I'd appreciate you coming on the Showtime, my friend. It's been an absolute blast. I'm going to put Larry's book, The History of Fantasy Sports, on my page. Like I said, look at the reviews on Amazon. It's absolutely phenomenal. Definitely check it out. Larry, I appreciate you coming on, sir. You've been a champ, my friend, and you have a good rest of your evening, sir.
Thanks. I'll just mention it's available paperback and ebook. The easiest place to get it is Amazon, and that's where they got all the details and reviews.
Oh, yeah. We're all Amazon junkies out there.
Yeah, I saw a good Paul Charchian review this afternoon on it. So
yeah, most definitely, my friend. I'm definitely looking to check it out. I can't wait till it comes in, my friend. And yeah, like I said, it'll be on my page later on, right after the show. I'll tag Larry in it, and you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask. And then the link to buy it will be on the page right after the show.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Larry. Have a good night, sir.
You too.
Yeah, dude, I can't. He's sending me a copy, which I cannot wait to check out.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in not being, and I'm not a fantasy guy at all. But
yeah,
I always love reading the history of things like that, and that's interesting. Going all the way back to the '60s with golf, I had absolutely zero clue.
So the Bears face the Rams on Sunday.
Let's just talk fantasy.
Let's just talk fantasy.
Larry was a nice guy.
I don't want to talk reality.
He calmed me down. Yeah.
Exactly. Very calm, funny stories.
Yeah.
Let's get back to getting angry now. Mm-hmm. So the Bears are playing the Rams this weekend. The Rams are in kind of as much trouble as the Bears are currently, my friend. I mean, again, this is a game that I had as possibly winnable, but again, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are both out, dude.
Yeah.
So as soon as that happened, this automatically became a win. And
a must win.
After week one, it became a win, dude.
Yeah.
You're at home.
Yeah.
You have Matthew Stafford, who the Bears have history against.
Good history.
Nakua's out. Cooper Kupp's out. I mean, and Bears can stop a run game.
Yes.
Should be a win, right?
This is, to me, a must win.
I'm concerned.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, dude, McVay's and Stafford's game plan revolves around Puka Nacua and revolves around Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm.
So without them, dude, you're putting your entire game now back on a rookie running back, Kyren Williams, who is coming off a monster of a game from Sunday, dude. 3 touchdowns, 150 yards, dude. Like, the kid's established himself. He was a big Hakamadi and fantasy pickup, too. So,
no doubt.
What do you think the Bears need to do this week, my friend? Like,
well,
obviously, O-line. I mean,
no, yeah, I'm just going to skip that altogether. It would be nice to have a nice running game established, maybe early. Aaron Donald's no longer on the Rams, so their defense looks pretty shaky thus far. I don't see why we couldn't have a nice ground and pound game. Maybe start and use Roshan Johnson for those 20-something carries instead of DeAndre Swift or Khalil Herbert or the other guy at the end of the roster.
Travis Homer.
Yeah. Then maybe some nice play action off of that. I mean, our defense definitely is kind of play a little better than they did against whoever the hell we just played, Indianapolis. I don't want to see Caleb throw the ball 54 times. I just don't. Like, if he's doing it and we're throwing for 450 yards and 4 touchdowns, great, beautiful, that's awesome. But if he is going to pass that much, why do the Bears never seem to have slant routes, or it's constant bubble screens and
slant routes, dude.
Slant routes would be nice.
What's going on here?
Yeah, I'll give Waldron credit. We saw a lot more Cole Kmet this game.
Yes.
Vertical Cole Kmet moving down the field, and that was nice to see. And he was making some nice plays early, and Caleb was finding him. Let's use some more of that. Let's other guys do that. DJ Moore. Let's have a nice big DJ Moore game, maybe.
When you're in the red zone, you use Cole Kmet.
Yes,
He's your red zone threat, dude. He's the big guy.
Yeah,
who's going to go up and get the ball.
He's an excellent player. He's a top 10 tight end in football. Let's use him like that.
Dude, Sean McVay is a great coach.
That's the worry.
So no matter with what team he has, he's going to game plan this game perfectly. And reading into this game before doing the show tonight, he's going to force the Bears offense to have to produce.
Oh, absolutely.
He's going to play a very safe offensive game because he knows our ability to do turnovers. We keep on running over and over again. Eventually, they're going to get into some scoring position and put points on the board. And in turn, that's going to force our offense to have to produce. So as far as our defense goes, be prepared to stop the run all day long.
Oh, absolutely.
Until they get into play action. They'll probably get one on us in some play action because they're going to be running so much.
Sure.
And then Kyren Williams, dude, they're going to be using him too as a wide receiver this week too, with Kupp and Nacua down. So watch him on those quick slants, those screens too. And I mean, with those type of plays moving like that slowly, that defense is going to be on the field for a while, dude. and they're going to wear them down, and eventually,
no doubt,
life is going to happen.
Listen, when you have Sean McVay as your coach, Matthew Stafford as your quarterback, they're going to find ways to score points. I don't care who the hell they're throwing to.
They've won Super Bowls.
I'm not saying they're going to go light you up for fucking 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, but they're going to score points. They're going to find a way to get down the field and score points. So it's not. And to me, on paper, this is a slightly better team than the team you just played, the Colts.
They're a way better team than the Colts.
Yeah,
they're a way better team on Colts on paper.
Yeah,
in reality, too.
They have. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they've looked great so far, but they got a lot of injuries and they're finding ways to stay in games. So
they have a good organization, a good head coach,
an excellent head coach.
They're going to make
and a Hall of Fame quarterback. Yeah.
So, dude, my keys to success. Keys to success for this game. The O-line's going to have to block. We're going to have to get the run game going.
Yes.
Get play action. Caleb Williams is not going to be able to take as many risks as he did last game, and he's going to have to be on par, dude, as far as his pass is going. We're going to have to get the ball in the end zone if we have a chance of staying in this game.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little more of obviously you all would. That's a stupid comment. But yeah, when we get down the field to the red zone, let's put some balls in the end zone. Yeah. I don't care how that has to happen. I don't care who it has to happen with.
You talk about the run game, dude. Roshan Johnson should be with our current offensive line. Our number one,
the best option,
running back.
The best option. Yeah.
DeAndre Swift's 0 for 3 in his starts as starting running back right now.
Yeah.
Roshan Johnson showed himself in this last game that even when the line collapses, he's going to get some yards.
He's going to pick up 3 to 4 yards of carry, which is all you need.
Correct.
You need.
And that's all we need to open up the play action to be able to pass.
The key is keeping it 3rd and 3, 3rd and manageable, not 3rd and 7 and 8, where you know that they're going to pass.
And you're allowing the defense to blitz every down because they know you can't stop it.
Yes, absolutely.
Caleb needs to protect the ball, man. Get rid of it if the pocket's falling. Can't be fumbling the ball, and you can't be taking those risky passes, man. That sideline interception during the Colts game was bad.
That's on him. And you know, at times he kind of holds the ball. I'm not that happens to rookie quarterbacks. So we saw it with Fields forever, and I'm not comparing the two. But at times during that game, there was some on Williams where he needs to just get rid of the ball. And sometimes the best play is to throw it away.
Shane Waldron's play calling, dude.
Yeah.
Has to massively improve, especially on 3rd down this week, dude.
Yeah.
You have to call a play like we're a real NFL team that's put together, even if you know or think that we're not. You still have to attempt it, dude.
Yeah.
I'd rather see the attempt and the fail than to try to play the circus move that you know is not going to work.
Yeah.
Like, how else are they going to learn?
I agree with you. I'd like to see some more runs up the middle. Some more runs not out of shotgun.
Yeah.
But show that you got this job for a reason and you can adapt. That's the most key thing.
Yeah, man. I'm going to go with another low-scoring game.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely going to be a low-scoring game. We have a great defense. Rams have a hurting offense. We have a hurting offense. And
for other reasons.
And the Rams have a mediocre defense. So I'm going to go 2017 Bears. I think it's going to be another of these one-score games.
Until they prove otherwise, it's going to be one-possession games for the Bears.
2 touchdowns, 2 field goals. Hopefully that does enough to win the game. I don't see us being able currently with what I've seen the last 3 games to produce any better than that.
Yeah, I'm going 23-20 Bears with a not confident on that, honestly. And that's not where I wanted to be week 4, but I mean, we can only go off of what we've seen, and we've not seen anything good yet.
I mean, I think it's definitely going to be another game that we're going to have frustrations.
Yes.
But we're going to be in the game the entire game. That seems to be the trend right now from these first 3 games is that we're going to stay in the game the entire time.
Yeah.
We just need something to start clicking on the offense to execute the victory.
Yes, agreed 100%.
And let's hope at home at Soldier Field. I'm afraid of booing at this point, dude, if we lose this game. Like, you could definitely see it happen.
It just comes down to how you lose and how it looks.
Yeah, I know.
That's the most key thing. How does it look?
Yeah.
You know, like we said, if they looked good against Indianapolis, you just got beat. All right, you'd be mad about it, but it would feel better. This is where we're at, unfortunately.
I know. It's exactly where we're at. So next Tuesday, we'll be talking about the results of the Rams and Bears game this Sunday, preparing for a follow-up home game, which should definitely be a winnable game versus Carolina. Even though Andy Dalton just got them their first win of the season.
Yeah, don't even.
With over 300.
Oh, God.
If the Red Rocket comes to Soldier
That's it.
Field,
then I'm done. I'm done with your show. I'm done being on here forever.
You
won't have to listen to me ever again. I'm not saying anything ever again.
So we'll be talking pre-gaming that show for Carolina at home the following Sunday after this Sunday. And then Pink Fanfur from Carolina is going to be on the show. She's one of the female super fans from the Panthers. Heart of gold, biggest sweetheart in the world, love her to death. She'll be a fun guest to have on. So
right on.
Appreciate you guys hanging in there as always, especially through these tough Bears games, man. It's hard to dedicate your time and your effort and to watch ridicule of something you love so much. So
I'm with you.
I appreciate everyone watching the show and sticking with the Bears. You guys are the real fans out there who still paying attention, still have hope.
Trust me, we don't want to do these shows like
trust
this.
Me. These are the shows that we dread doing. It's like who likes talking negative about something they love so much?
I'm with you.
It sucks coming out here and doing these guys. So let's hope we have a more positive turnaround show to talk about next week. All right.
Agreed.
As always, ladies and gentlemen, bird on, baby.
Bears.
Thank you, and go Bears!
Bear down!
From Harrison and Wabash we rise, tailgating with excitement under the skies. The Foz is leading the way with Billy from the band, rapping jazz, dancing to the Chicago plan. And the Mandos is feeling the beat. Our baby bear and mama bear never defeat. Deaf bear and oh so roaring loud, and the stereo lurking among the crowd. The Hallis Tower, a symbol of might. Chicago handshake under the night. What is your profession? We ask. Legends of the game, a formidable task. Devin has to speed, behold. Mongo and Dedham will never fold. Sweetness and Peter, heart of steel. Dick Buckers and Mike Dick are the real deal. Super fans cheering with passion in the air. From Harrison and
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villian Report, and Red Zone Range. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla Hour, Broseph Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and MManiacs. The nightly shows are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports, Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle Podcast, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, Off the Rails, and Detroit Lions News. Hope you like all the shows. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment.